Hold on 1 second, Larry. Being that it was scheduled for yesterday, I have to take it off Facebook right now. All right, here we go. Greetings and salutations, everyone. How you doing? This is another edition of Positive Attitudes, and this is the show where we are providing enlightening and empowering information, as wellness information and useful resources. And we take a more intimate look at the heroes that are out here doing the damn thing. We already know that positive attitudes are an important port of healing, and we've seen it work in our own lives. And so we are the podcast that asks the question, what's right with you? And I'm your host, Reggie Smith. In this edition of Positive Attitudes, we are engaging the wonderful energy of Larry Walker, the Executive Director of ThriveSS. ThriveSS strives to be a leader in advocating for communities of color and, in so doing, serve as a model that inspires the other jurisdictions around the country. Thrive aims to continuously engage our communities and organizations to build collective power and use said power to end the HIV epidemic. Their mission is to achieve positive health equity for Black same-gender loving men through direct support, advocacy, and building collective community power. And having said all of that, I'd like to take this moment to welcome Larry Walker to the house. What's up, Larry?
Well, thank you for welcoming me. It's good to see you, Reggie. How are you?
I'm excellent, thanks. Excellent. Yeah. Hey, I know we've been trying to do this for a long time, and as the executive director of another nonprofit myself, we know how busy we can get, right?
Yes, totally.
So what's going on at Thrive, and what's going on with you right now?
With me, we just had a successful all-staff meeting. We have our monthly all-staff meetings on Wednesdays, and today we just talked about shifts that we need to make to maintain kind of ahead of our community's needs, and continue to work to achieve health equity. So it's a pretty long meeting today, but it was a long where we got to check in with the folks who are the priorities that advocates of these projects, and talk through some various aspects of our work to make sure that we're doing the work on ourselves, our communities, but also isn't like creating harm to ourselves, unnecessary harm for ourselves.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So HIV work and community work. We draw inspiration from our lived experience. We also operate our center of our heart. And sometimes you can work and continue that energy and continue kind of like the sun, and just like the sun or any other star, you can run out of energy against the nova process, that death quote unquote death, as the stars on died and digital transformed each other.
Right.
And I think that if we're not mindful, we could do harm to ourselves by jeopardizing our bandwidth, jeopardizing our morale, and energy to do this work. So it's important to, as much as we're pouring out, make sure that we have folks pouring into us, pouring into ourselves, and just doing this work in a measured way, so that our work can be sustained, not just this flash in the pan, if you will.
Right. Burnout is definitely a thing. And it looks like you guys have a pretty large staff and a nice group of folks that are working there. That
we do. That's the iceberg right there. We have. This is we have a couple of people, individuals who have dedicated their lives to our community. We're so honored to have their efforts assisting us in health equity, or not only just Black Same, but like all of our communities. We're intersectional people. There's no black gender loving silo, can say we can live in without having to engage aspects of the Black community. We're all Black. So we're working to achieve for all of our communities.
Yeah, and that's something that we connected on, and I'm glad that we've been able to connect. Because our organization is not siloed, but focused on a demographic that seems to sometimes get lost in the mix as a result of the intentional focus that has been put on the same gender loving and the LGBTQIA community as it pertains to HIV, and that's well placed. But in order to end the epidemic, we have to bring everybody into the picture. And I think that some of these conversations, like the one that we're having and the ones that we've been having, are very important. Then when people talk about stigma, I think people would be hard pressed to define what stigma means to them. But I think that we both understand that we're all one community and we're all human beings, and so we've got to have these conversations. And sometimes they seem hard for folks, but you do have a very loving energy about you, so I can understand why you have folks that are following you. How'd you get into this work?
So I guess we're kind of always working community. When I first came out at 18 or so, I joined the Baltimore Gay Lesbian called Sufficient as I Am or Sane. And through that project, I was introduced to some beautiful Black same men, elders who made sure that I knew that my community had a rich history. Smith, Rainey, Baldwin, and Greg, all these people, and over the years, with that my summers in Baltimore, specifically HIV work. That would happen when I moved back. Actually, I helped to run this community center in Baltimore called the Portal, and it wasn't a specific HIV organization, but it was for Black men's health, more specifically Black men, but it would have been really open to not just the Black community. When I moved back to Atlanta, I started working with Aid Atlanta, under the guidance and leadership of several directors, but the most notable will be Nicole Roebuck, who I'm still in contact with today. And while working at Atlanta, however, closeted, because stigma and things like that. Because you work in a space doesn't mean that you've dealt with all of your stigma, all of the fear, and shame that comes along with being with HIV. So I think that one day myself and colleagues sitting around talking about how Black gay men are still HIV, and early in my life, I rarely tell this part of my story. My mom, when I was a kid, she invited. She was a nurse, and she invited several members of our family to their drug use disorder, had contracted, and a couple of them during their last baby, she invited to live in our home. And I was not happy about this. I was mortified proud. But in 2015, I began to see why she did that, because it takes a whole community approach to really love ourselves into a better state. So we wanted to do something that would kind of impact how HIV was impacting or intersecting or interacting with our communities. So what we did is we started a group for Black gay men under the it was an in-person support called the Undetectables, and because it followed that same circle, hi, my name is model, the membership crested around like 8 people, and eventually it just kind of went away. One of my colleagues, folks may know, approached me several times to go in this initiative, and he just felt like, you're an innovative person, you're creative, you're connected, you should be able to do this, and several times I want to do it, for my own reasons. It's like, I want to be like, I want to be guy. I'm already a race guy. A big man and a race man at the same time. From whatever, kept giving him negative response, like do it, I won't do it. And one day I was at home, like, man, like you have something. My only caveat, we would have to do it. That it couldn't be.
You would have to do what? Say that again. I think I kind of lost it, and I want to make sure we caught that.
My thing was that if I were to take on this initiative, it had to happen in a different way. I didn't want to do the traditional in-person kind of sad circle, because I didn't feel like. Though those feelings are valid, I didn't feel like they were necessary. I don't think that we have to have a sorrow song. Like we can honor our pain and the resiliency that comes from our struggle, but constantly existing in a space of victimized or victimization, like that was helpful. So my initial thought was like, well, we're going to take it online, center around support and love, and I didn't have any model, like, this is what I'm going to do. Because it offers, a bit of anonymity. You still get that anonymity, that safety, but it also opens up to a myriad who may not want to come into an ASO or AIDS or CVO, community-based organization. We could engage from home, and within them. I guess it was about 2 months of, starting this online space. We had about 150 guys, all living in the Atlanta area, all living with HIV, and it started to grow from there. So while my career technically started with Atlanta, the life path, of equity. And the life mission of help myself really was with the creation of our network. Because that's when I started like, yo, you got something to offer this space, and it's your duty to do so.
Well, it sounds like you come from an activist family. What I heard you say, you come from an activist family, that you tried to resist what was definitely your path. Right. I know that we have a lot of synergy in that you're actually living out your mission, because you're serving as a model for organizations like mine. When I was diagnosed in '88, probably contracted in '84 from drug use or from sex. Who knows? It doesn't really matter once you're diagnosed. Then there was no heterosexual groups. Everything was around the LGBTQI, and at that time it was just the gay community. And so I had to make support groups to with my gay brothers, with my same gender loving brothers, and that was not an issue for me, because my ass was on fire, and that's where the water was. And so but I lean towards some of the same things that you are doing now around technology, around being more inclusive, and because knowing that it's we need to be positive, that you can't be sad, negative. We have to look forward and be positive. And what is it that we can really deal with? And our wellness is a common bond, and it's something that we all share, and that
Yeah.
will help to destigmatize any disease that people can get beyond some of their conceptions or misconceptions. And so, thank you for leading the way.
Of
And
course, of course.
I see why folks have been really connecting with you and with Thrive. How is Thrive thriving? Excuse the pun. and what are y'all looking at doing coming up soon? I was looking at your strategic plan.
Yes.
Maybe to tell us a little bit about that before I ask you
So,
about.
Thrive is doing
Yeah.
well. We have the largest network of Black gay men in the country. But we firmly believe what got you here. So here we are. The strategic plan is on the screen right now, and it's centered around this mission of achieving health equity for Black men through direct support, advocacy, and building community power. But it has the motto and has the motto and through line of doing things different, utilizing innovation, utilizing technology, utilizing strategic partnerships between Thrive and your organization. It's just really thinking about the wholeness that transcends and extends further than our HIV diagnosis, and trying to put strategies in place heal while bolstering other aspects of our lives, right? So we developed this app called the Thrive 365 that helps people or Black gender loving men living with HIV or not living with HIV connect to one another, which we feel like the most important. Like my connection with you can save not only my life, it could save myriads of lives, millions. So it's important to connect to one another. That meeting that we had the other day was so beautiful and magical, and that here's these two brothers who are Black first, and intersectional but committed to our community. So the other will connect you to not only resources, care and appeal, but it'll also connect to parties and friends and forums that talk about sex and religion, power, and all of these various concepts and various conversations that we have every day in our community. I think that there's a misnomer that would state that people living with HIV only focus on HIV today, and thanks to the organizations like Gilead and Merck, we have pills, injectables, and all of these other forms of biomedical intervention that can take HIV, make HIV such a small part of our lives, right? Because I'm so much more than just HIV, right? I'm a poet, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, I'm an executive director, I'm somebody's partner, and it's just I need support around those other aspects of my life too, and I deserve to shine the light on those other aspects of my life. So our strategic plan focuses on it's focusing on engaging elected officials, celebrities, religious, all centered around power building, collective space holding, right? Let's space for each other to envision a world where we have liberation, right? So we can remove the barriers that stand in our way just because we're Black, just because we're living with HIV, or just because we're living, as same gender like that, and open us up to a world where we have justice, so we can do a number of things, do anything or nothing if we choose to.
Yeah, absolutely right. And who you love is not the most important part of our lives. I mean, the fact that we do love, and we should love each other. And you kicked off. You set some triggers off with what you just said. You said liberty, and I'd suggest that we are more revolutionaries than anything else. I think that's just not accepting the world as it is. And and I don't even know if we had the conversation, but I'm a DJ as well. I need to throw you a few house music mixes, man.
I would love that.
From back in the day. Well, they call me DJ Kind, brother. I'm so old school.
I love that.
Just try to throw you some mixes, but we need to find ways to really engage our communities together, so that we can be stronger. And we're doing the same thing with the disabled community as well, because there's a lot of invisibility. People sometimes get so encompassed in themselves that we can't find the empathy or share the empathy that we need to, and the compassion for each other. And when we were having that conversation the other day, I couldn't help but share empathy and compassion with you as you shared a little bit about your story with your sister. Do you mind sharing any of that?
Well, yeah. So, my sister, who is like a few years older than I, had been living with HIV for decades. In 2015, I often call it the origin story of Thrive. But in 2015, we incorporated. Around the same time, I would find out that my sister was rushed to the hospital. She had this mysterious illness that caused us to have a brain infection. When I asked my mother about it, asked me the first question that was usually an indicator that it's HIV. She asked, "Well, isn't he like around?" And immediately I knew, like, okay, there's nothing in the black community that is so sacred or private about it. It's a disease state, right? We're like, they have congestive heart failure, diabetes, or cancer, or whatever like that. But when it's HIV is like this is a safe space. The door was closed, and it was this whole thing around it. I asked her, "My sister living with HIV?" She's like, "Yes." How did you know? She was living with HIV, undiagnosed, untreated, 1994, and because of her lack of adherence to medical regimen, she developed ALS, similar disease, ALS or whatever, and she gradually declined. Never got much. So like, if you're a person who does help or working, HIV space, some folks who may not have the best adherence might, experience opportunities or other diseases as an effect of having a weak immune system. And a lot of times, all the times, but many times, much of the time, folks get better. They might hospitalize for a period, might have to take a cocktail of medication, and maybe lose motor functions and other things like similar to my sister experience. But typically, when they start taking their medication, they get better. In the case of my sister, her situation got worse. She lost the ability to stand. She lost the ability to talk. Lost the ability to really communicate at all. And it was so hard for me because I felt like I was the only person in my family that would even know what HIV. You know what I mean? Yes, we had family members in my childhood transition from advanced stage HIV due to whatever, right? Like when I got that diagnosis, I'm like, oh my God, I have to go at this because I don't want to deal with stigma. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to he's dying. And my sister was one of them. If not, I was like, no, I would never tell her. She's Baltimore. She doesn't have access to information that would be helpful from a health situation. So why would I share this? Why would I add responsibility onto my shoulders to level set her away and deal with all of this stigma. Basically, I was just right, and it's okay to be afraid. But that fear and that stigma caused me not to want to talk to my loved ones about HIV. And in fact, I wouldn't come out to my family about living until my sister was hospitalized. I didn't see any need. And
how many years had you been from diagnosed to when you actually did?
Okay, so I was diagnosed in 2007. So 8 years. It would be 8 years. And I just have to say, like, I really wish I could do things over. We all wish we had it over, right? And that's my main one. If I could go back, I think she would be the first person I would tell. Because I would have been holding space for her. Unbeknownst to myself. And I often wonder, would she be here now? Would she have gone on her medications when I was? Would we have been able to form have this kind of support? The one thing I'm confirmed by is that after realizing my situation, I did get to talk to her about it. She did get to have somebody who could talk to about it. And that makes me feel a little bit better. I have to be honest that losing my sister to advancing HIV, complications dealing with advancing HIV has really committed me to wanting to hold up who's not at the who's not in the black men, black trans men, black women, and really demystify and misnomer that black gay men are or black trans women are all HIV. We're all susceptible to it. And more than that, we're all living because we have loved ones who are living with HIV, we have neighbors, mentors who are living with HIV, and we have an HIV responsibility. We all have a health responsibility, more than just right. We have a responsibility to make sure that your families know about trauma, substance use, anti-blackness, you know what I mean? Because we're stronger together. Black people are so knit, and our communities are so many diverse attacks that we have to show up for one another. And we don't have the luxury. I could tell 2007 Larry, like you don't have the luxury of not having conversation. You're here. This is the reality.
Well, everything happens in its time and in God's time, and so I first of all thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's your story just really points out so many different angles that so many different people. First of all, it's important for us to share our stories. And talk about the positivity. I felt the same way, and a lot of us felt the same way. Why share it with someone else when there's nothing that they can do? Right. But as time went on and we stayed healthy, and then other situations presented themselves where it made sense to share, but it motivated us and it molded us to be the people that we are. And obviously, it has a lot to do with the way that you go about your work now, especially including what you started out with was making sure that you don't burn out and that other folks don't burn out. And one of the things that one of the other groups that I think hasn't really been dealt with, we talk about trauma now, but the trauma of people who have lost loved ones and have never shared why or how or never had or still feel certain ways about the relationships that they had before their loved ones perished or passed or are still here. Just that trauma that people are dealing with has its own effect on ourselves and our lives and can manifest in a lot of different ways. And so wellness is the real focus, and that's mental, spiritual, emotional, physical wellness. And so thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for sharing your story. So I know you would talk to the 2007 Larry. What would you say to the 2030 Larry?
What I will say to the 2030 Larry is thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being human. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being open. At times, thank you for being protected. Just thank you. Welcome to your 50s, I guess. Welcome to your 50s. Never thought that you were, but you're here.
I can't even remember my 50s. I plan on living to be 200. How old do you want to be when you die?
Wow, Reggie, that's the first time I've ever been asked that question, and I firmly believe in law of attraction. I would say between a healthy, viable 85, 95. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, we'll see how you feel when you get to 94.
yeah, yeah. Let's talk. Let's do another one of these then on our futuristic devices.
Yes, yes, yes. I think the key is staying healthy, and a lot of it is how we are living now. And if we're preparing for a long life, then if I'm shooting for 200, whatever I fall short of, as long as I stay healthy. And I think that's the major fear around HIV, was the way that people were dying, that people
Yeah,
were maybe not as afraid of death as they were the grotesque natures of the way that people were dying. And so
yeah,
nobody wanted to suffer.
yeah.
People that might not have been as afraid of dying, but nobody wants to suffer. So
Right.
so that's why we change our lifestyles. We're doing some things to try to be as healthy as we possibly can now. And I know you're doing that too. Look at you, man. How you staying in shape?
I mean, I haven't gone in a couple of weeks. I think mostly just eating right. I'm a vegetarian, which does not mean anything for health.
It
I
means
mean,
something. It does mean something. I'm gonna tell you right now.
it means that
It
you don't
does
eat
mean
meat.
something.
It
Yeah, I
means that you
mean
don't.
it's a lifestyle. I've been living
Yeah,
this. I've been
yeah.
living the same lifestyle for
And
about.
I'm not trying to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I say I've been living a vegetarian, vegan lifestyle for over 30 years, and
Right.
it makes a
Well, then
difference.
just not eating meat is the tip of the iceberg. Like there's so many processed foods, and you can fall into the trap of becoming what my company used to call a fry guy, where you eat starchy foods and just eat a bunch of like quick stuff. I think that it really helps starts in your head. It's in your minds. Telling yourself positive things, because we ingest more than food. We ingest the thoughts, the things that we answer
Exactly.
to, the energies that we have around us. So you can be vegetarian, mojo, died of the damn heart, right? So it's like
Right.
it's really more than accessible for Black people, and that's why I'm so passionate about health equity for Black people. Because you can be doctor, lawyer, nurse, you can run marathons, you can do all of the things. The stress and the anti-blackness and the stress from the anti-blackness that we live under can kill you and will. So it's important to ingest mantra. It's good to have mentors and spiritual leaders around you to tell you, "Hey, baby, you beautiful," and remind you of both your infinite wisdom and your infinite bandwidth, as well as your finite bandwidth. You know what I mean? And remind you to take care of yourself, drink your water, take walks. What I'm ingesting right now is a bunch of self-preservation, a bunch of love, a bunch of reminders of my resiliency, and also giving yourself rest. Stepping. I'm sorry, I lose you.
Oh yeah, we're getting a little bad signal. I think we're getting a little rough signal, but that's probably just a signal for us to maybe
Okay.
wrap this up now. We'll probably come back, and I know we're going to have some more conversations, because you just touched on a bunch of things that I'd like for us to be able to expound on. But I
Yes.
really just want to thank you, Larry, for all the work that you're doing, for the energy that you're sharing. I'm 66, and I've been doing this for a half a minute, and so to hear you share in the way that you are is inspiring for me, because not everyone wanted to hear this vibration a while back, and I think fear clouded a lot, and ignorance clouded a lot, and so we are working to raise the awareness of our community, and it was an experiment, and the experiment seems to be working, and through God's grace, here we are still on the planet with the opportunity to share love and good vibes and information, and so we're using this medium to do that. And I really was anxious to get with you so that we could begin this next chapter of both our journeys. And
Yes, I love that.
Just really have to thank you for being here, and for being as generous with your time and your life as you're being. One last question. What's right with you?
What's right with
What's
me?
right with me?
What I will say is that
is that
when people ask
when
me
people
like,
ask me like,
what's good, I
what's
typically
good, I
say
typically
everything,
say everything,
you know.
you know.
And that's not the
And that's not the
Pollyanna.
Pollyanna.
That's
That's
the segment
the
intending.
segment
That's the
intending. That's the
manifestor in me.
manifestor in me.
You know, everything might not
Everything
be
might not be
happy or
happy,
joyous
or
every day
joyous
or
every
every
day, or
moment of
every
the
moment
day,
of the
but
day.
I'm on a
But
path,
I'm on a
Reggie.
path, Reggie.
And it has
And it
purpose.
has purpose.
And
And
it's fueled by my
it's fueled by
ancestors,
my ancestors,
my more recent
my more recent
ancestors, my friend
ancestors, my friend
Mercedes and
Mercedes,
our other
and
friend
our other friend
Stefan, and
Stefan,
all
and
of these
all these
amazing
amazing
angels that are around
angels that
us.
are around us.
My steps are
My
ordered,
steps are ordered,
and that is
and
right.
that is right.
And I'm proud of that.
And I'm proud
And
of
I'm
that.
tired
And
at
I'm tired
times,
at
but
times,
I'm
but I'm
firm
firm
that I'm on the
that
right path.
I'm on the right path.
Yes, indeed, indeed, and it's great to be in the flow, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's amazing to be
It's
in the flow.
amazing to
Thank you
be in the
for
flow.
this.
Amazing to be in the flow. Well, let's stay in the flow and let's continue to amplify this energy. And I'm so glad that we agreed eons ago to meet at this time, at this appointed place, and that we will
Yes.
continue to stay in the flow and connect and harmonize with each other and with the work that we're doing. And hopefully we'll be able to help to bring our respective and collective communities together for the greater good.
We most certainly will. Thank you for this. And thank you, you and
Thank
Dion, for your
you,
work.
Dion, for your
It's
work.
amazing. It's beautiful to
Amazing. It's
watch.
beautiful to watch.
Awesome to be in
Awesome to be
collaboration
in
with you.
collaboration with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, we'll do some more. This is Positive Attitudes. I'm your host, Reggie Smith. I'm asking you to watch your social media inboxes for some more positive attitudes. Join us in our virtual community, the RDSF.com. That's the RDSF.com, where we focus on wellness, awareness, and recovery. I want to thanks to my production team and to Ty Freeman and all of our staff, Tanisha Baker. And I just want to remind you that yesterday is history. And tomorrow is still a mystery, so let's just keep the focus on what's going on right now. And as long as we do that, I'm sure we'll have our hearts and our minds in the right place. This has been a whole lot of fun, but we got to run. Till the next time, it's your man Reg with my man Larry. And I want to say peace and blessings.
Peace, guys.
Peace, guys.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.